Might help if I'm on stage. I was supposed to be on stage, but technology doesn't always work. Hey, well, welcome back to a Tuesday night live stream again, back-to-back weeks, and I have another great guest on tonight. We're going to be talking to Julie Rhodes about Kick Fizz, which is a new brand that she co-founded and launched. And you'll find out she doesn't have enough other stuff to actually do. She decided, let's go ahead and get into the THC market. So this will be great because I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while on the channel and to have Julie come on as that first person to discuss it. I am pumped, and hopefully you guys are too. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring Julie up and we'll get started here. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, I think I haven't done this for a while or something. I don't know what's going on tonight. And I had not had a drink yet, so it's kind of crazy. But Julie, great to have you back on again, my friend. Always love having you on and spreading the information you spread and all the good things that you do, of course. So welcome back. How's life out there in Colorado right now?
It's good. It's first of all, thank you for having me back. I was just talking about we're connected on a million levels, so it's good to be in close company. It's cold here. It's not as cold as it should be for anybody who lives here or I don't know, visits Colorado. We don't quite have the snow that we should have at this time of year, which makes all of us, I'm a little spoiled with skiing and stuff like that. It makes all of us locals a little sad, but I don't know. Fingers crossed. We're supposed to get some this weekend. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think we've got your cold out here on the East Coast, so thanks for shipping that out.
Yeah, sorry.
I'd rather prefer beverages. So yeah, it's been getting crazy cold. It's like right now we're at 18 degrees. Supposed to go down a little bit more, which we're supposed to possibly have some. They don't even know. They're like possibly some snow, but then maybe not. We'll see how far south. That's like the job. You can just flip a coin and be like, never have to worry about getting fired. I don't know. We'll just go with this call. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, what are you going to do? You going to fire me? I don't think you are. So you have to be so bad of a person doing weather to get fired from you. Literally, you get fired from your job, you're going to be sitting next to Craig on Friday because it shouldn't happen. You shouldn't get fired as a weather person. How do you have to screw up so bad for them to fire you? But
I don't know.
Anyway,
and then there's apps now, and who knows where it's coming from. So
yeah, AI is going to program everything here shortly. So,
yes. I said, don't get me wrong. You know me. I love technology. I talk about technology all the time. The work that I still do with clients, I actually talk to them a lot about using AI because for small business owners, there's a lot you can do. You just have to be kind of careful, and it's still not there yet. So I don't know. It's a fun time to be alive. Put it that way.
Yeah. A lot of stuff happens, whether you're drinking or you're doing other stuff. Is technology is kind of crazy. I feel like I grew up as a Star Trek geek when being younger. I still went to the Star Trek stuff, but I'm waiting for that day when I can just sit in front of the machine and say, make me a Jim Beam old fashioned or something, right? Just like in
the Jetsons where they
in the air. Yeah.
I know my husband's waiting for autonomous vehicles. That's his ultimate litmus test of we've made it with technology. He wants to just be driven around automatically.
Wow. I don't know. They've got some of them rolling out, and some don't know when to stop and they're running over people, and other ones are getting stuck on train tracks. So
I've ridden in one when I was in California last year. I took what are they called? Waymo. The
driverless W one, right? Yeah.
It's very bizarre. Now I just took it locally, and I didn't take it very far. To me, it drove very cautiously, very safely. There was alerts going on with it. I don't know, but I can't imagine, on a big scale or taken out on the interstate or something like that. Yikes. I don't know.
I feel like I would be like Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man when he's looking around where's the steering wheel? And the car drives itself.
I know.
I have to go find a muscle car like he did in the movie. Now we're driving. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But, listen to, Kick Fizz because because, we got to know each other with you doing the Not Your Hobby marketing. Big opportunity brought to a lot of the breweries and kind of helping them get their marketing in line and pointing out the do's and the don'ts, all that kind of stuff, which you still are doing a part of, I know, as well. So what got you transpired to say, you know what, I got a little more time. Let's do something different. Let's do something else.
It's funny that you say that. So you know me, and I don't BS a lot about stuff. So you'll get like the raw behind the scenes story with it. In fact, well, there's your sound effect. I'm just going to open product placement. Okay.
There you go.
I feel like I have to do that on the, but I do drink this almost nightly. So it's
okay.
Here's the thing. I am still the owner and operator of Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions. Shameless plug for my consulting gig that I started 7 years ago that still pays my bills. Kick Fizz does not. Hopefully one day.
Yeah.
So Kick Fizz actually was born out of a total failure story. It was actually a hard seltzer brand from about 4 years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And they came to me as a client. They were struggling with distribution, sales, marketing. They didn't have any plans, like very typical stuff of what I do with my consulting side, which is like, I have an emerging brand. I don't have anything planned for marketing and sales. We're aligned with a distributor. We're kind of on the struggle bus. We need some foundations, right? So I jumped in. I worked with them for a little over a year. You can probably get the timeline. This is like very late to the hard seltzer game. We sort of know where that has gone these days with, the big kids. They're still in there, right? Like they're fine. But a lot of the like independents have kind of backed out from hard seltzer because the market became more difficult and there just wasn't the same momentum. We reformulated, we retested, we rebranded, we built sales and marketing plans. We did all the things. It was a little bit too late, too little too late. The distributor was like, no, we're out. So we shut down everything. Sadly, it's like, okay, we're going to fold it, close the books. About I'd say like 8 or 9 months later, the owner, the backer, the investor of that brand reached out to me and said, I really like the work that we did. I like the work that you did. I like the direction, that was headed. It was just bad timing, wrong place, wrong time, wrong product. What else can we do to like resurrect this thing? And me, I pay attention to market data. And at this time, this was probably like almost a little over 2 years ago, I kind of saw the writing on the wall of like the uptick of, hemp derived beverages, of getting into that space. And I thought, well, we have this like cool flavors that would play well with hemp derived ingredients, right? Let's put some weed in it. That's basically what I said. Was kind of, for lack of a better term, I was like, let's just, let's put some cannabis in there and like, let's keep the DBAs and the trademarks and like all the things that we worked like really hard building. So we kept the name Kick Fizz. My cute little mule gal or guy, however you want to go, non-binary mule here. The hard seltzer, the flavors that we had for that were based off of Moscow Mule variations, like different Moscow Mule flavor combinations. And we wanted to keep our little, spirit animal. So we kept the branding in place. We just changed the recipes, changed the formulation. We did some more R&D on flavors. It was, again, it was not on my bingo card to be a partial brand owner. But we get a big opportunity for sweat equity to be part of a company and to build something, that you're passionate about. I was like, I can't say no to that. And to be frank with you, building a brand from zero kind of makes me a better consultant anyways. Because I'm like living the process, like I'm on the struggle bus with like smaller independent producers, that I have to talk the talk of the walk that I do with client partners anyways. So,
Sure.
they're pretty parallel, honestly. So that's our story behind our brand, and here we are today. So, hopefully you had a chance to try some. I hope.
Yes, I did. I have here, and thank you and Emily for sending it out as well. So, I'll have one here probably in a second too. But it was funny because I was going to say, what was there an aha moment, but it was more like moment. It's like, what do we do with it? Here's an idea.
Yeah. I mean, we did. When we were reformulating the seltzer, we did a lot of R&D work. The product was actually being contract produced at a local craft brewery up in Cleveland, like right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And so we had a captive audience, like a live audience that we could use in the tap room. So we put up some signage, we advertised like, hey, we're doing like a sample group. There was no like emulsion or anything like in the, you know what I mean? It was really just like flavors to try out. And we gave people, a simple like Google form. We compensated them with some gift cards, and we just asked for their input. Like, hey, we're going to put 10 flavors in front of you. Let us know what you think. We had a good spread of demographics, and we took that data and we kind of ran with it. And we only have 2 SKUs with Kick Fizz. There's, the black cherry vanilla, and we have the lemon berry ice, but those were the 2 winning flavors that we wound up with. And that was something that we were very, very intentional about from the start, because feedback we got from that, defunct distributor relationship was like, the liquid is not that great. Like finally someone came forward and they were like, branding's great. We love that you have plans. We love that, you know what I mean? That you're like doing the things.
Yeah.
Right? But to be frank with you, the liquid doesn't taste that great. So, and again, I like to look at the writing on the wall just with like market trends and things that I read and, journalists that write media and stuff like that. And what I kept seeing over and over and over again is you got to make your liquid taste good. Like it has to taste good. Like it has to be flavor forward, because the market's just too saturated right now with, frankly, a lot of stuff that doesn't taste all that great. So if you're trying to enter that space and you have kind of like, okay flavors, it's gonna be really hard to compete, especially on a national scale. So that was something that we were very adamant about from the beginning. It's like, we're not going to go the 0 sugar, 0 calorie. Like that works for some people and that's great, but we would rather sacrifice a little bit of that to make it taste outstanding or as best as we can. So
sure. Yeah. I mean, not just THC breweries, they've got to taste good, right? So you can't just slap craft on it and be like, okay, we're open. Like, no, you gotta put the work and stuff in. And the you yourself, speaking of putting the work in, getting in there and kind of being there from ground zero, I definitely appreciate that there as well. I think that's a good way to do it. It's kind of like when I started doing the beer stuff, I started doing some home brewing as well, because I wanted to get into that function of really knowing behind the scene what it took kind of stuff, which I think is why it does well to accelerate here on the channel when I share a lot of information. It's kind of like, I just had Blue Ox on last week talking about Malt House with knowing malt background and having that great thing. It enhances that conversation even further. Absolutely. So yeah, you got to get in there and get involved. And I tell people, like, you can do something like this and not maybe do everything like that. You can still have a decent channel, but the more you're involved in doing stuff, I think that's more rewarding to the audience, and that's what your people will like to appreciate about the channel. So yeah, I'm all about rolling up the sleeves and getting down and getting to work, so to speak. Talking about THC market here now, because this just launched last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
we're still babies. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So right now, because I know we were going to talk about this anyway, but what are there concerns or there thought? I mean, it's got to be eyes on DC and what they're looking at there, because I know talking to some of the other ones here, we've had, some of the big ones here. Ryan Guys, they launched a thing, I think. Urban Artifact had done stuff with it too. So it's kind of like here in Ohio, they've already started hitting some stuff. It's funny, one of the local spots where I get distribution for a lot of stuff, they had a whole almost row just of THC type drinks. And then the governor came down about trying to close it. They started taking stuff off the shelves. Then he got to stay. They put stuff back up there. Well, the second time they put it back up there, everybody kind of just stockpiled. So now they're all going because they sold them all out. But they had they had probably 60 more days they can still sell it in Ohio. But people were kind of like trying to figure out what to do. And so it's not just here, but with the stuff out of DC, I think the target's like November. I mean, do you guys have where's your concerns at right now? Or are you guys part of teaming up where it's lobbying going in from the industry into DC? Is it a little nerve-wracking at this time for you guys, kind of knowing all this stuff happening?
That's an understatement. Yeah. It's
kind of a rhetorical question, but I had to put it out there anyway.
Well, what's funny is that I'm used to beer lobbying efforts and watching the regulatory environment. I'm not going to get on my soapbox about franchise laws. You get an earful about that, so I'm used to being in that kind of environment. And what's funny is I used to catch myself saying, oh my gosh, the beer regulatory landscape, beer, cider, fermented beverage, whatever it is, right? It's crazy with the stuff changing and stuff like that. I had no idea what I was talking about until I got into the cannabis space. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. I've also never watched so much C-SPAN in my entire life, which if you've ever watched C-SPAN, it's riveting entertainment, it's horrendously boring. Also, I'm regretting not minoring in business law, in hindsight, because I feel like I need to learn a different language just to understand exactly what's going on. And the most hectic part is that it keeps changing. So, overview, cannabis is still not federally legal, but the states are allowed to, make their own laws. Right. There's some recent stuff going on with rescheduling, not descheduling, but rescheduling, substances.
Which is funny in itself. Because it moved to a 3, but it's still okay. It's we're going to still shut it down, but we're going to make it the least dangerous, but we're going to still shut it down.
And I don't want to put anybody to sleep on the live stream here talking in legalese. But I think the biggest issue that we're facing is that there's no federal, broad strokes, federal regulation, right? So kind of willy-nilly. It's the Wild West out there.
It is.
States are trying their best to figure out how do we do this? Is it food? Do we regulate it like food? Is it alcohol? Do we regulate it like alcohol? Do we just create our own systems? It's sort of been this state-based DIY experiment since about 2018 when the Farm Bill came out. So I think the way to sum it up, at least from my perspective, and I'm not a lawyer, by the way, I'm not a lobbyist. We're all doing the best that we can, and we're trying to keep up as best as we possibly can. But I do know that the folks that want to be in it for the long term, we are very much pro regulation. We want to see some.
You want to see it regulated because you don't want bad actors out there doing stuff, right?
Right, exactly. So if it has to be the TTB, sure. If it needs to be the FDA, awesome. Let's just pick one and go with that and start building from there. But kind of like we saw with prohibition way back in the day, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Then you have negative repercussions of that. So again, a lot of the folks like myself that want this to stick around, that see the benefits of it, that see the consumer demand, we are very much from the camp of, I can't even tell you how many times I've emailed my Congress people and senators just over and over and over again. And I would say for anybody out there that's listening that enjoys these things, that wants to see this stuff stick around, like just, let your voice be heard, because it does make a big difference. I think the biggest problem that we saw in November was government shutdown. Oh, let's sneak in some language at the last minute. So it wasn't really, we're trying to ban the hemp industry, but some folks in DC who are influenced by whoever, I'm not going to say anything, but snuck the language in there, and it's like,
Right.
okay, what do you choose? SNAP benefits or hemp beverages, or like giving the government reopening. So, again, this is just my like personal, non-legal, like formal take on all of this. But what we're trying to do now is just activate and get the voices heard out there from people that want this stuff to stick around, whether it's a beverage or say like a CBD supplement. Could be for you. Right. It could be for your dog. That's a big deal. It could be for hemp farmers. But the way that the language is structured right now is that it would eliminate basically the entire hemp industry in November of 2026, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. So sorry, that was a long-winded way to explain all that, but hopefully that helps.
No, it's always good. We're always about the knowledge here and the education of it all. So, but just to think of all the different careers that would be affected, the lives that would be affected. And, it's kind of interesting here in Ohio. So Ohio is kind of that kind of Wild West type state where liquor stores can sell the drinks, or they still have them in there. They're still selling them some that haven't sold out already. But the ones that sold out really aren't stocking up anymore because they don't know what's going to happen. Then we have like gas stations that they can get the THC drinks and stuff in there, and they can sell stuff like that. And then occasionally some might have like some of the gummy type stuff. But then we have the smoke shops that have gummies, and they have some drinks. And then we have dispensaries which have just straight, just weed, go in and get the bud that you want to get. And it's all kind of funny because the goal, it looks like here in Ohio, is they're basically upset at the gas stations. Of all those groups I've mentioned, because they're like, you can go in the gas station, and if you're a kid, you might think you're buying nerds, but the nerds you actually get are these gumbo nuts. If the artwork looks the same, it's just the name. And it's kind of like, okay, well, you can kind of regulate that. You have that behind the counter anyway. But if the gas stations are the problem, don't sell them in the gas stations if you can't regulate them. A liquor store is great because they're used to regulating for alcohol, so to have it in there makes a great spot. What they're trying to do seems to put them in dispensaries, but dispensaries say, we don't want them. They're not profitable for us. We're okay. So it's kind of, where do you want to put this at?
It's hard where to put it, right? Yeah. And, I'll say this because I do a lot of business with gas stations and C-stores, more so on the beer side, like the bev alc side. I can say this, though. I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Gas stations and C-stores are some of the greatest ID checkers for regulated goods out there. I will say they will rival liquor stores on age gating, and things of that sort, because they're used to it, right? Like you check an ID for, cigarettes or beer or whatever, whatever people are buying that's like restricted goods.
Right.
So I think it becomes, what can the states do, like the regulatory bodies, to just say like, hey, you got to put this behind the counter. You got to put the, you know what I mean? Like we want to get it to people. I think that's why the like 21 up is so important to a lot of us that are in the space. Cause we're like that, is the system perfect? No. Are people going to always make like fake IDs and stuff like, yeah, like that's going to happen. That's been going on for, decades. Right. But there are, SOPs in place for C-store employees or liquor store employees. Right. So like there's, there's systems for that. So if we can kind of protect it a little bit, hopefully that eliminates the, my 11-year-old walking into like a Circle K or something and buying, whatever it is. nerds when it's not supposed to be there. So
Right.
I think just having some guidance from the powers that be, whether that, at state level, at federal level, at both, would be a big help, because then there's
Yeah.
like some guidelines already. I also think that's why a lot of folks are looking to like TTB and the alcohol, because it's sort of again, is it a perfect system? No, but it's a big system and it's a framework already in place. So, making sure like the testing is there and label approvals and age gating and you know what I mean? All the things that we kind of take for granted because we're in the beer industry and we don't really think about those things right off the bat all the time. But it would help create some nice safeguards, to at least try to make it a safer space for everybody involved. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I don't know. I'm not like a C-store expert or, I obviously don't have anything to do with politics, but from my understanding,
I just watch Law and Order every week. No.
That's at least my perspective from like a supplier. Like we're willing to go, we're willing to pay for extra certifications. Like we're willing to use DEA certified labs. We're willing to show people our test results. Like all of us are like, we're in. Like we want to, like, let's do this. Like, but give us the framework. Like, give us something to work with.
Yeah, definitely. And to say hello to Vanessa in the house as well. Cheers, Vanessa. Says, I never sleep on Rod streams. Well, that's what I always appreciate about you. And she said a perfectly good explanation. Thank you as well when you broke it down there. It's just like the gas station, and I have a gas station here where we moved back to Cincinnati. It's local. I mean, I found out, which is always crazy because, if you've never seen the video I put out, I talk about Ohio gas stations and the beer selection you can find in them that are better than some beer stores, and like the guy, sure. the one around my corner here, they have like 500 different craft beers in this little BP. You walk in and you just walk in like a little BP type thing, but on the side they got over 500 craft beer. But you walk in there, like I was literally went in and I picked up like the Boulevard Neapolitan Barrel Age series they came out with. And people were like, I cannot believe you got that at a gas station because they couldn't find it at certain liquor stores, right? And I go in there and they got like the Bourbon County and the Big Bad Baptist and just this little podunk like gas station. It's just like, so it's kind of cool when you have that kind of place around. But with the THC, what I did notice when I went there, that is like not behind the counter, which like you had mentioned there. So it's kind of like out on the display thing in the front. So you walk in and if you go straight, like the beer cooler here, but they have like a display thing here. And then they have a row in front of the cooler with some of the beers that aren't in the cooler, but you'll see THC stuff on the shelves. You see TH stuff in front of the register. Now, obviously, if you're going to buy it, they're going to ID you. But I think that's some of the concern that was brought up. Like if a kid comes in and the kid happens to just grab that and maybe throws in his backpack, like, because it's not guarded, you know what I'm saying? Like if you go into the smoke shop, everything's in the glass case or behind the counter. So I think that's so I'm like, well, if you guys just did the right stuff to protect things the way they need to be, then maybe the government would have to come down as much. But that's what I think some of these officials are seeing in some spots. Like a kid walks in, kid sees something over there. Obviously he can't buy it, but if it's out in the open, they may come by, snatch it or whatever. And what are you going to do? Because you can't do like if it was a liquor store, the kid couldn't go into the liquor store and do that because the kid couldn't go in by himself.
Right.
But at a gas station, they could.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of sides to this, and again, that's kind of the whiplash that I've experienced with trying to follow along, because there's a lot, like I'll hear, I don't know, somebody talk about like the outlets where you can buy it like in Alabama, and it's completely different from Ohio, and it's completely different from South Carolina, or I can't even sell this in my backyard. Colorado is heavy cannabis, right? So I have to have really high milligrams to be in a dispensary, but dispensaries are not really built for beverage.
Hey, right.
It's not like they have coolers, just laying around, like being ready to, it's a different setup, right? So then it becomes like, okay, so what formats are okay? like edibles versus beverage versus vape versus, you know what I mean? Flower,
Yeah.
like whatever variant you're talking about. That's a question. Then the other question that is I see begged out there is like milligram limits. Do we limit what can be sold at a gas station or what can be put in a dispenser? You know what I mean? So there's different debates about that too. It's like, you know, the kid with the backpack at the gas station, could they grab a 40 and put it in their backpack and just run out the door? Yeah, they can technically, you know, of like malt liquor, right? Technically they could do that. Just as easily as they could grab like a weird bag of candy, what looks like candy to them. And
Right.
like, you know, but is one going to harm them more than the other? I think that's what a lot of people are looking at. And then do they put like a milligram limit so it's not like as harmful? Kind of like some gas stations only sell like beer, wine, cider, but they don't have like hard spirits, and those are reserved for the liquor stores.
Right.
Just, I guess, bottom line, I could ramble about this forever, you know, with analogies, but bottom line is like we need somebody to look at it like objectively and in an unbiased way and say, okay, we think we should, you know, regulate it like a food or regulate it like alcohol. And then we have some kind of framework to work with and to get, you know, stuff in the right places and protect access to things. But also, I don't think it's bad to have that discussion too of, I mean, you don't really sell a lot of just like pure grain alcohol, like on the shelf. You know what I mean? Like gasoline.
Not unless you went to West Virginia like I did.
I mean, there's stuff like, don't get me wrong. Like I drink Everclear and stuff like that. Like, there's some stuff that rivals like grain alcohol, but you know, there's safeguards on that, right? Like you can buy all kinds of stuff in a liquor store, but up to like a certain point, and then it gets dangerous, right? So where is that point for THC? Where is that point for hemp? And you know, I think it's important for everybody from all corners of the industry to weigh in on that. So I think it just comes back to like speak up, talk to your policymakers, talk to your local lawmakers, let them know like, hey, I'm a small business owner, I'm an independent brand owner, this is my perspective, this is what we want to see. And then, but also for those same lawmakers to hear from consumers, hey, this is what we want to see in our neck of the woods. Like, this is what we feel like is going on. And then you get a group, distributors, supply chain, consumers, lawmakers, all weighing in so that you can try to get some kind of decent baseline. Because right now it's just all over. It's like a huge hodgepodge. And that's not going to work long term for anybody in any sector.
No, I don't think. I think it's still such a newer type thing, and it's just a lot of gray out there, and people are trying to figure out the best way to mesh it all together. But my thing is, like, you come up with an idea without killing the industry, without putting jobs in jeopardy, without doing some of the stuff that's going to penalize some of these things. So it's just like, don't just go for the death kill right off the bat. Like, there's other ways we can work. Yeah, there's ways we can work toward it. There's people invested into this, and there's a way for us to make it work. So let's just not go, you know, some of the problems we always have, whether it's this or other things in the country, is the pendulum never stops really in the middle. It swings from the one side to the other, the one side and back and forth. And it's like, no, right in here is where we want to be. Why can't we get it to stop right here? So
yeah, exactly. And then people also keeping an open mind that it's not what's this called? Like a zero sum game. You know what I mean? Just because one category wants to enter the marketplace doesn't mean it's taking away from other, you know what I mean? There's ways for us to like all fit. There are a lot of craft breweries that are contracting these products, and at a time when the market is kind of dippy, you know what I mean? Like, let's just be honest. Like, it's like, you know, there's been drops in revenue and volume for, you know,
for a year and a half, 2 years.
Just beverage alcohol in general, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like breweries, there's cideries, there's distilleries, there's different people from all corners of beverage alcohol that some people are relying on this revenue stream as like, I'm producing this thing for somebody else that doesn't have their own tap room, that doesn't have their own facility. And again, like you mentioned earlier with jobs, like how many hundreds of thousands of people is this going to directly influence if this thing shuts down in November, which is a very scary thing. And again, it's not just beverage. It's like the health and wellness space. It's the, veterinary space, like animal care. There's so many industrial hemp. There's a whole bunch of, there's research with the rescheduling and everything that just happened. There's a lot of folks in Washington that want to do more research about CBD and how it could maybe help with like PTSD and like other forms. Now I'm not making medical claims. I'm just saying they have aspirations.
Yeah. I mean, you see it, you see it doing stuff with like Alzheimer's and all kinds of different things that are trying different testing to see the impact it can have to make people's lives easier, as far as
and if it's totally banned, you can't do that. That just goes away. So then the progress gets interrupted. And I again, it might sound totally self-serving that I want the industry to survive, but it also could do a lot of good for a lot of people just overall outside of my universe.
Yeah. Well, it's like, don't look at the tree, look at the forest. So that's how, how it actually works out there. And I do want to pull up the site here as well. So we can share with people. And for those watching, whether they're here or on the replay, make sure you can check out kickfizz.com. The website's in the comments area, is pinned up there, but I want to go over to the website to take a look here as well to share. Because this is a fun looking website. I'll give you that. It's cool to get in there. Hey, look,
I'm a little biased. I think it's cool looking, but that comes from me. And then you're gonna get hammered with like coupons of stuff that comes up. So
hey, 30% off.
Community building. You know how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. So you get a little discount there. But no, I like the colors on the website. I know you talked about the two, and I have the two here, which I'll share here in a second as well. But you're doing the day drinking and you're doing the evening buzz, and go to the different flavors. And so black cherry vanilla is the evening buzz. Like a little summary here, night out or in with friends, good vibes, good fuzz. And they want me to get that 30% deal. I'm telling you.
They're trying to hook you.
With casual party, you give a nice little thing of how you can actually working this in if you want to sit here and enjoy. And then on the day drinking, I know that one has a little bit of kick of the caffeine in there as well. Brunches, day parties, poolside, and beach days. Ooh, that 30% popping up.
I know. When you're in the world of e-commerce, I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot. I have been schooled in this process because e-commerce and DTC business is so different from in-person taproom and distribution. I'm not complaining at all. It's been a really good learning experience, but man, it is it's hard. Yeah, we have some mocktail recipes. We have a Spotify channel if you want to peruse some of our playlists that we like pair with our beverages. But I think, for everybody listening, what we wanted to do, in addition to being like flavor forward, we also knew that there's some people that are sort of intimidated by these beverages. It's like, everybody's body composition is different. So the way that you react to it's similar to alcohol, right? The way that your body reacts to alcohol, you're going to react differently sometimes to, hemp-infused beverages. So, we're proud of our medals, by the way. Don't just take my word for it that like the flavor is. We've actually won quite a few medals as well. We've entered quite a few competitions. But we knew it had to taste great, and we knew that we wanted something really approachable. And someone said this to me once, and I keep repeating it all the time. They said, you're like the step stool into hemp beverages because it's so low dose. Like we're 2 milligrams of hemp, like Delta 9 THC and 2 milligrams of CBD. And you're in Ohio, you see what's out there. You got like 5, you got 10s. There's some places where you can get 20s and 50s and 100s and stuff like that. But we wanted people to not feel intimidated by the category and make their own judgment on how much and how little they wanted to drink. Right. So, and here's the thing, you can always drink another one. It's not the end of the world, right? Like if you need some more. And the other thing that we noticed, and this will give you a clue for the names like evening buzz and day drinking. What we see in the market with like social beverages, whatever you want to call it, is that people usually buy stuff based on what they're doing for like the moment that they're in, or like what we call like a drinking occasion. So if I'm going to a backyard barbecue and I need a bunch of beverages to take with me, if I go into a liquor store, my mindset is I got to get a little bit of everything, right? So I might gravitate towards a variety pack. Different scenario. Okay, I'm having I don't know, a pool party at my friend's house. I want something light. I want easygoing. You know what I mean? Like something cool that, like, if it's hot outside, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go for like the BBA stout here. I'm going more, you know what I mean? Like a little bit more. I'm not trying to put anybody in a corner with styles. I'm saying generally people they purchase beverages for whatever it is they're doing. So we thought, well, instead of putting a style on there or putting the flavor as the focus, why don't we put the drinking occasion on there? So like if you want to treat during the day, you go for the day drinking. If you're winding down at the end of the night, or you're having a little get together with your friends in the evening, you go for the evening buzz. So what that does is kind of remove some of that decision fatigue. Like I don't have to think about like styles or try to dissect flavors or anything like that. I'm really just going for the moment that I'm in. And I'll give you a secret. There's more to come. It's not just day and night that we're working with here. We have like plans for other occasions. Yeah, it doesn't just. We just wanted to keep it easy at the beginning. It's like you got day drinking, you got nighttime stuff. We'll go from build from there. Yeah.
I thought y'all might have been Kid Cutie fans with day and night.
Oh, I know, right? I should probably work that into a playlist.
You should.
But really, it's the whole, I guess you could say, shtick of the brand is that we want to match people like where they are.
Right.
If they're at a pool party, we want to match a pool party. If they're having a barbecue, we match with a barbecue. If they're having a game night at their house, we want to match with a game night. So just different scenarios that you can find yourself in for a drinking occasion. And we want to have a flavor that matches up well with whatever that thing is. In this case, daytime, we went with something fun and bright and citrusy. It's like a mixed berry lemonade. Nighttime, a little bit more sultry, relaxing, something a little bit more robust. So we went with I'll be honest with you, I am not a cherry person at all. Like if you give me a choice of flavors of whatever it is that I'm drinking or eating, cherry will not be my go-to flavor at all. And when we were doing R&D on these things, son of a gun, when we were testing, I was like, the black cherry vanilla is really good. So, it was hard. I hate to admit it. It's become my go-to. Nothing wrong with the day drinking. That one's awesome as well, especially for like mocktails and stuff like that. But really, it made me a believer in the black cherry flavor profile, because sometimes it can go like medicinal. That's
right. We see that with beers where you get that medicinal pickup, usually with the cherry sometimes.
Yeah.
And
it's a little complicated. If you get it right, though, it's delicious. It's
Well, I think it's kind of like me and coconut. I would hate coconut on any given by itself type thing, but when I get coconut in Imperial Stout, I'm okay with it. So it always works for me. Yeah. So go figure.
I think it's the vanilla balance. You got like tart and then like smooth in there at the same time. And it's I don't know, kind of reminds me of cream soda a little bit, like a black cherry cream soda, if that makes sense. It's like kind of reminiscent. And, the day drinking, when I say a mixed berry lemonade, it's not quite it doesn't have as big of a bite as like a traditional lemonade. I would say if you've ever had, those like Italian sodas that you can get at like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, or, it's like in a like the fancy bottle. It's like a fruited Italian soda. It's kind of like that. It's very similar. So lightly carbonated, very like juicy, but not, it's not going to blow out your palate. Yeah.
Have you ever put both together into one? Have you done a movie between them?
That's bold. I don't know.
I mean,
I might have to try it now. I have mixed them with other things. Like when we came, that was fun. Like coming up.
Lemon berry ice and black cherry vanilla. I mean, it could work.
Yeah. I mean, you could. They're definitely. I wouldn't be opposed to trying that. I don't know if that, but they definitely play well with others. If that helps, they're very. I don't know. Malleable flavors just in general.
For like to mix in with other stuff. I mean the mocktail paste look great for a lot of different stuff you could do with it with the different recipes. So and
I would say not that I'm giving anybody dietary guidelines or anything, but something like the black cherry vanilla over like a scoop of vanilla ice cream makes like a little nice adult like float, so to speak. Kind of fun. And then if you're like a Arnold Palmer fan, put the day drinking with like half and half with some iced tea, some good stuff. So you can play with it,
put some good ideas out there.
Be creative. Why not?
So with the drink itself, because it is one of this is I think the lowest dosage I've seen.
Most likely.
Any of the ones out there.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if Cyclone Frog might be 3 or something, but I think you guys are lower than what they actually do on theirs even. They might be 5. I think they're 5.
There's very few 2s out there among us. There's a few 3s. I think like you said, Cycling Frog, Climbing Kites. I believe they have a 3 milligram. I think Can, like CANN, the double N. I think they have a 3 milligram as well. But spoiler alert, we have a 5 milligram coming out next month.
Okay. Stepping it up. One more step up on the step stool. All right, there we go.
Giving people options, and they're the same flavors. So it's not like you're going to miss out on it. There's not going to be any FOMO. You just choose your own adventure if you want to go low or if you want to go a little higher.
Well, the good thing is, like you said, being at the 2 gives you a chance to introduce everyone here how to Kick Fizz. Start off slow. Sip and work. Everyone's kick is a little different or is different. And then there's kick it up a notch for step 2. Finish a can to hit your desired kick. And then step 3, kick back and enjoy until you feel kick ass. So there you go. A lot of kicking going on right there.
We stay on brand. You can say that. So that's, again, not that we're issuing any type of official consumption, rules or anything like that, right? But what we do like to tell people is that if you aren't familiar with this category, if you've never tried a cannabis beverage, a hemp-infused beverage, anything with THC in it or CBD, I know it's a can, and most people don't immediately think like, they think they have to like chug the whole thing. You don't have to. Like refrigerate it, chill it to your own preference. I'd say maybe drink like half the can, a quarter of a can to half the can, and then just hang out for a bit, like 15, 20 minutes. Just marinate with it. See how you feel. If you think you need more, go for it. If you don't, just leave it, come back tomorrow. To be honest with you, ours is so lightly carbonated. You're not going to lose a lot I'm not recommending like keep it in the fridge overnight all the time open, but if you go a night and you go to the next night, it's not the end of the world. So, but what we find with the 2 milligram, like the low dose, a lot of people will drink 1 can and find that that's like their sweet spot. Some people that want a little bit more, they'll do 2 cans, you know, and then go from there. So, but the point is that, you know, if you're new to this space, don't like rush it. Don't rush into it. Don't go overboard because you're probably going to have a bad experience, and that's not fun for anybody. Like right out of the gate, you know what I mean? Like that's not great.
Yeah.
Like everybody has like a bad edible story, you know, of like the first time that you like ate something and it's like,
everybody knows the person that finished the bag because they kept saying he couldn't feel anything. You're like, well, just sit there for 30 minutes.
Like, yeah, I didn't wait long enough. So yeah, I really am. I'm serious. You kind of have to, you know, your first go round, like do a little planning ahead. Like, okay, I'm gonna start with this. I'm gonna chill out for a little bit. If you feel comfortable, move forward. If not, take a breather. But it's customizable. You don't have to drink like your neighbor does. You don't have to drink like your cousin does. Everybody has their own, not to get all sciencey, but the things in our body that process cannabinoids is different. It's based on your DNA. It's based on genetics.
Right.
Like, there's like a million things, right? It's a kind of similar with like your alcohol tolerance, you know, height, weight, how much you had to eat, how much water you drank, you know, there's like a million things, right? So if you treat it the same way, you'll be fine, right? No reason to be scared of the category. You just have to understand, you know, my husband is like 100 milligram beverage guy where I'm like a 2 or a 5.
Yeah.
You just have to find your own
group, your tolerance. Yeah,
you got to find your own vibe. It's either, you know, my mom or like Snoop Dogg. I don't know. Like, there's a happy medium in there somewhere. You just have to like try it out and figure out what feels good for you.
Yeah, but even Snoop Dogg learned he can't hang with Willie. he tapped out with Willie, so.
He also runs with Martha these days. You know what I mean? Like Martha's no joke. She can hang with just about anybody.
Yeah. I feel like she has some things happening we don't know about there too, but you know.
She's an enigma, and that woman. Yeah. Every time I think I've seen the end of her, something pops up and I'm like, what? Like
what is
what is happening?
she keeps doing it. Yeah. So at the 2 milligram level, I'm gonna pour this one in here. What do you feel most people are finding? Do you feel like most of them are kind of for people to actually see it there? So look on that one. Yeah. So that's the one from the evening buzz. But do you find that most people, they feel like they hit, they just get like a chill feel? I mean, because you mentioned like here in Ohio, we have the cans up to 100, like we can get on drinks. And then we have the gummies that go higher than that even. So it's kind of like, you know, and they tell you in the bag, you know, if you get a gummy, maybe try a quarter of it at first. And, you know, everybody tries to measure stuff out. You don't pop the whole thing in if you're not used to it. And believe me, you can find out the hard way when you wake up 2 days later. Maybe I should have cut that thing in half or something. Like
right.
Maybe the best sleep of your life, but then you slept for 18 hours or something.
It's a good sleep. No, it's, you know, anytime you're dealing with like an intoxicating substance, it's always good to like start very cautiously, you know, obviously. But a lot of people that, you know, buy our products, what they usually tell us are, and this is just an example, they'll say things like, well, due to, I don't know, my age or like some kind, you know, something else, I had to cut back. I used to like to have, I don't know, like a couple glasses of wine or a couple of beers, like after work, and sort of wind down, you know, that just like very chill state, like very relaxed. Right. And here they'll say, well, I don't know, I'm not like substituting it out completely, but maybe instead of a couple of, you know, alcoholic beverages, I mix in a couple of hemp-infused beverages and I have like 1 can or 2 cans. I think there's no exact struggling for the words here. There's no like equivalent you know what I mean? Like scientifically, where you can kind of judge, like, oh, you could swap this out, or I do this instead of that. A lot of people are just adding it into the mix, because what we're finding now is that there's craft beer drinkers, but they also drink cocktails. And then sometimes they also drink RTDs. And then sometimes they also drink NA. And they're weaving this into sort of their social drinking schedule, or their, relaxation routine that they have. I would say what you can kind of expect, without using any like derogatory terms to like freak people out, is just a very like relaxed, sort of euphoric feeling. So you get like a lift, you're sort of lifted. Your brain slows down a little bit. You stop doing the to-do list in your head, watch a show, turn on Netflix, whatever it is. Like you're just very sort of mellow. A lot of people use the word chill or calm, or grounded, do I think one can of a 2 milligram hemp beverage is going to make you feel like you're floating off the couch? Probably not.
Right.
Maybe for some people, I don't know. I don't want to make any specific claims on that because I don't have the place to do that. But, I would say that's something that you could expect. Like, you have a couple beers, you kind of feel the same way. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
The goal with the 2 milligram, honestly, is to make sure that you aren't like crashed out, like in the couch. You know what I mean? Like just like, like, that it gives you a good like entry point.
But even at the 2 milligram level, I don't know if it's on here, like, is it the don't drive, don't operate, like machinery type thing? You have to put that on here as well, because like I said, it may hit people differently depending on how their DNA and everything is,
Right. And in that sense, it is very similar to like the warning labels that you would see on like liquor or spirits or an RTD, which is, don't operate machinery. The pregnancy warnings, the breastfeeding warnings, obviously nobody under 21, drink responsibly. You know what I mean? Just some typical like warning labels. I think the one that you'll see most commonly on hemp beverages is like, this has not been, backed by the FDA in any way. It is federally legal at 0.3% dry weight, all those kind of things, those hoops that we kind of have to go through so that we can be as compliant as possible. Because I know a lot of people don't read the fine print on labels, and we also have nutritional labels. If you notice, like, I don't know if you notice that, but like we almost treat it.
It's all the 45 calories and the
so you
13
can see
sodium
in there. Yeah, it's pretty. And I think transparency is really, really vital. Honestly, there you go. Yeah. You can see what's in there. A lot of people ask it. I get this question all the time: is whether or not we use stevia or any type of like chemical sweetener, and we do not. Yeah. We use agave nectar, which is pretty
nice. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a nice little balance to it. So, we tested different versions of sweeteners. We knew that we didn't want to skip that part of it. We felt like a natural sweetness tasted better overall. Sometimes with the artificial sweeteners, you get that like, and I'm going to say the wrong sensory word, so feel free to like correct me, but like a cloying sort of, that's the best way I can describe it. Sort of like a almost borderline medicinal sort of aftertaste, or at least that's what my palate would get with things like stevia or
like a medicine appeal comes out of it, or like something like
chemical-y feel, right? So we tried stevia and some other artificial sweeteners, and we were not fans. And so we just said, you know what? We'll take the hit on the calories. We'd rather have the flavor.
I think the agave works well. I mean, honestly, drinking this is like drinking liquid candy. So
I would take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it is. I think relating it back to a beer, the delirium tremens. Whenever I drink that, it's like drinking red licorice. And this is like drinking basically a type of a not really heavily tart, but kind of like a sweet tart type feel, where you kind of have that liquid candy just in play. I mean, it's very easy to drink the whole can. I mean, I poured it into a glass here so people could see it, but
that's good. That's a good thing.
And the carbonation level is perfect on it because it's not over carbonated, but it's just enough to give you a little bit of that bubbly in there. Like you can put orange juice in here and have that with this as a mix or something like that too, and drop a strawberry in there, kind of like a Kick Fizzosa or something. You can kind of come up with something with it.
I know we encourage people to play with it because we want that. I don't know. Drinking should be fun, right? Like this is supposed to be.
That's how I always learn it.
So have fun with it. I think we were pretty conscious about the carbonation level too. Like that's on purpose. That was not an accident because we saw a lot of like THC seltzers like flooding the marketplace, and we didn't want to be another. For lack of a better way to say this, like another bubbly water or LaCroix that just happens to have THC in it. We just didn't want to go that direction with like the, I don't know what the word is, like alkalinity. You know what I mean? You get kind of that like seltzery sort of saline thing going on.
When you start,
and then there's like a fruit flavor on top of it. That was not what we wanted to do at all.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it feel different than what everybody else was doing, and to have it feel more like an RTD, more like a cocktail, like you're ready to drink.
It definitely has that. I mean, I don't know if you ever tried it or not. I don't know why you might have to try it, but I mean, if somebody just wanted to pour this over ice, you could do that even. I've seen people put ice in beer, which I haven't figured out why they're doing that, but that's something what the younger generation has been doing, especially overseas. I don't
know. I'm old school. You and I are both old school beer fans. I don't know if I would do that. I'm not gonna get mad at you because like you do.
Oh no, that's your thing and everything like that.
That strikes me as odd.
I just order a Coors Light.
I do. Yeah. This kind of you can tell my import background coming out when I was selling way back in the day when I was still doing supplier side sales. And I worked for a couple different import companies. And I used to sell a bunch of lambics from Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Tiny bit reminiscent, not exact, but if for the beer folks that are listening, like if you need a flavor kind of equation or like point of reference. So like this one, I don't know, like a very mild creek or something. Yeah. It's got like that,
I can see it being like a lighter Lindemans. I can see that. Sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So if you dig that flavor profile, this might be right up your alley for sure.
Right. Yeah. And the aroma is solid, and the aroma is right in place. The carbonation level, I was trying to put that in my mind. It's kind of like the 2 liter. I don't know if people I guess they still sell 2 liters, but I always feel like people are getting cans or little bottles nowadays. But getting that 2 liter back in the day, and you have it in the fridge about a day and a half, and it's not flat, but it's not all the way carbonated. It's kind of like right in that middle. It's kind of like right in that spot where you're getting enough bubble action to make it still a good drink, but not overly anymore. So it's easy to put it down.
Yeah. Yeah. So the it's like if you had like 2 ice cubes in your soda and you let it melt, but not like 6 ice cubes.
Right. What it's like too much. We went too far. Yeah. There you go, buddy. Laz is over. Actually, you're up late tonight because Laz is over in the UK, but he has a question for you. So does the fermentation process affect the THC compound?
Oh, okay. So first of all, Rod, you know this. I'm not a production gal. I'm just married to married to one. Not a gal, but a guy, production guy, right? So everything I've learned about production process comes from my partner in crime. God bless him, like trying to explain, pH and like DO levels to me. But to answer this question, there is no fermentation in these beverages. Right. Now, that is specifically mine because mine is not a beer style I don't know if you've seen those. There are some like IPAs and lagers that don't have alcohol in them, but they put hemp into them. So it's like a totally alcohol-free beer, but it's an actual like malt product. Honestly, I will shit. I like to be unbiased a little bit, but shout out to my friends at Float House. If you've, I don't know if you've ever heard of Float House.
I've never heard of them. No.
The East Coast. They make anybody on the East Coast go check them out. I believe they're in Connecticut, or Rhode Island, like that area up there, Massachusetts. But they make like a light lager THC beverage, and they make an IPA THC beverage, and that has a fermentation process, right? Because it's like a malt based situation. Right. You can't do alcohol and THC together. That's a big no-no. That like, so they don't have any alcohol, so they have hemp infused, really good stuff. But the hemp, like there's no fermentation at all happening whatsoever that would cross over with the emulsion. So really, if you think about it, 2 a.m. Thanks for staying up with us. Oh my God.
Yeah, he says, not gonna lie, he's struggling to sleep. Well, I'm here for your insomnia, lads. I'm here for your insomnia.
I'm really glad that I didn't talk about like more lobbying stuff, because I definitely would have put him to sleep for sure. But you know, ours, if you can think about it like in cooking terms, it really is a marriage of like mixing and like emulsions. There is some boiling that happens, but there's literally no fermentation. You know, because we're not trying to create alcohol. So you're not like it. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, I'm not a production gal, so forgive me if I'm saying that in like non-sciencey ways, but you know, there is boiling, there is mixing, there is like rest time. There's, you know, the tricky thing with the emulsions, this is the easiest way that I could explain it. Think about it like oil and water. So my beverage is mostly water-based, right? Like most beverages. The tricky part with THC, CBD emulsions is that it does not want to hang out with the water like at all. Like it doesn't, like it's angry. Like it'll just, you know, try to get away as quickly as possible. So then it comes down to, okay, how can we break it down? Sometimes you'll see terms that say like nano emulsions. So like get it really, really small, for lack of a non-sciencey term here, or, you know, for lack of the right terms. The emulsion people, if they listen to this, they're going to be like, oh God, Julie, what are you talking about? But the way that I understand it with my non-science brain is like the smaller that you can get it to where it's more compliant with the water molecules, and the more that you can force them to hang out with each other, the better the beverage will be, because it will be the right potency, the right strength, you know, the full effect of everything together, and then you put the flavors on top of that. So it's like mixing up, you know, sangria or a batch of margaritas or whatever. It's just, you know, the tricky part is getting everything to hang out together and to have them stay together and have it taste good, and hopefully not taste like grass. That's the ultimate goal, because it can be very heavy sometimes. It can be very earthy, you know, depending on how much you have in there, where it was sourced from, you know, there's a million things. Kind of like with hops, you know what I mean? You have like different harvests, you have different regions, you have terroir, you know, it is kind of the same.
You got the stuff out there, and it's stuff being grown in labs now too. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm glad that I just randomly picked that example, because they are kind of from the same, like you get like
they're cousins, you know.
They're sort of cousins.
Yeah.
So you do have different flavor profiles of like emulsions and things like that. You know what I mean? Like there's not like flavors of emulsions, but you'll get different notes of stuff depending on the strength and the potency and like the amount and all those things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe I will start the insomnia line, because just Disco's here now. He's also overseas. So he said, same here, I think, talking about he couldn't sleep as well. So
well, they can listen to me ramble with my non-scientific vocabulary about what I think I know that I'm talking about, right? But you know, the thing is, it goes back to like what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation.
Mhm.
I've learned a lot through this whole process. Like, I just thought I knew beverage as an
Mhm.
industry. I have been schooled so many times entering this category, and I still know that there's a lot to learn, like a lot, and I'm excited
Yeah.
about it. It's kind of like when you first get into like sensory stuff with beer or like Cicerone or
Mhm.
judging or whatever. Like it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot to learn, but it's cool. It's pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really it is I can imagine. And one thing there, Laz said, which was funny to a point, because okay, just get high, so not drunk. Which the funny thing is with the THC drinks, a lot of people do like the fact they can get their little buzz, whatever they're going for, and not wake up with a hangover next day. If they just want to
Yeah.
do most of the time. Now, granted, I talked about earlier here, we have 100 milligram plus. So if you get too big, you won't get a hangover, so to speak, but your head will be definitely hang in.
Yeah.
So so you got to be careful to know what you're actually getting into. But
we try our best to. There's some other brands out there that say like no hangover and like no next day, after effects.
yeah, being groggy and stuff, right? Yeah,
Yeah, to be honest with you, we quit using that language like a while
yeah,
back because what we would hear from people is that there are some folks out there that do have
right.
a very low not 100 milligram but that do like a
That's
lower
all high.
frequency, right? Like, yeah, like
Yeah,
we're gonna feel the effects from a 2 milligram like very quickly. And who
yeah.
knows? They might be groggy the next day. They might
They
have a
might
headache.
be.
I don't know. Like it's, to be honest with
I
you,
mean, you get like the program, they may have something genetically that may trigger something that could have them being groggy. They wouldn't even aware
quite
of, right? So
possibly. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the folks out there that don't have the right like compounds in their livers to break down.
Mm.
Like that doesn't mean that, I know like my older sister does not drink pretty much at all. She just found out she has no tolerance. It's like instant alcohol poisoning. Like she wound up in the
Wow.
hospital a whole bunch of times. And genetically, that's just the way it is. That's just the way her body is, right? So
Yeah.
we don't ever like to make any claims like you're not going to have a hangover, you're going to feel fine, like the next day is awesome, because that's not necessarily true
Right.
for everybody. For a lot of people, sure, you'll be fine,
Yeah.
never. But there you go. Like
Yeah.
this beer, like you might get a headache. You have to try it, right? Like you gotta if you want to try it. Otherwise,
Right.
you can just not buy it. I'm not supposed to say that as a business person, but like if it freaks you out, you know what I mean? It's like the people that
Yeah.
try LSD or whatever. Like if you're freaked out about it, it's gonna be bad. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to try it. Like it's I would
What is
love
that?
to try
I'm like,
it.
use the buddy system. Bring a friend.
I know. I
you guys split it, and you're both on the same trip together.
Yeah. I should not mention like tripping like that in the same context as this beverage at all because I don't want to make that association. Like, these are totally different substances. But again, it goes back to the like start low, go slow, like wait it out.
Right.
Set
Get a
yourself up
feel for it.
success. Yeah,
Yeah.
you get a feel for it. And
Yeah.
I did see something early. Somebody said, yeah, it is. Now, I don't know if oil is the right terminology, but it's viscous,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like
From
it has,
here.
it does
Yeah.
have, it has some depth to it, right? It's
Okay.
not just
Yeah.
like water, like additive. You know what I mean? Like it does have some substance to it.
Yeah.
And again, my emulsion partner is probably gonna murder me after this episode, but they would be able to explain it better
Yeah.
from just from what I've learned is that that's like the ultimate kind of the way when you're brewing a beer, it's like knowing the timing and the temperatures and like when to add things, when not,
Right.
when to take stuff out, when to filter, when to let things rest, like how long to lager, all those different things. It's not exactly the same because we're not fermenting anything, but like putting in the carbonation at the right time, putting the emulsion in at the right time, making sure
Yeah.
the flavors are going in at the right time, and in the right way. It is kind of a science and an art, in the same sense, just different ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'll just have a smoke. That's hassle last time. Got drunk and broke 2 ribs. Well, there's different ways you can do it, right? So
Different strokes for different folks. Yeah. It's choose your own adventure. That's what I say to a lot of people all the time. Like, it's your choice ultimately, I can't even tell you how much weird stuff we get on social media, like comments or DMs. It's bonkers, by the way. Like, it's
you
crazy.
can tell me because I know like some of the social
I
media
know
stuff.
some of the stuff that the one that I see all the time is like, this is a great way to fail a drug test, and I'm like, actually, that's on the label. We do give you a warning,
right?
and it's a personal choice. You can just choose not to drink it if you have to take a drug test. So,
right. Depending on what you're in. Yeah.
It's a free will.
Yeah. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to pick it up and drink it. Yeah,
it's the same thing as like, just because this post is here, you don't have to comment on it, but sure, carry on. Like, I have to joke and jest about social media, otherwise it will absolutely just like weigh on me anxiety wise. So I have to like take it in stride with a little dash of humor.
Yeah, no, I mean, with some of the social media stuff, the jokes are starting to write themselves in some things. It's just like literally the other day, it was just like I got the urge. So I haven't watched it, but that movie Don't Look Up, people talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like I was reading something like I feel like I need to watch that movie right now because I feel like nobody wants to look up on anything. Like everybody's just kind of like, maybe if I don't pay attention, they won't see me or nothing will happen to me.
Yeah. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I do my fair share of doom scrolling. I try not to do it for like long periods of time,
Yeah.
There are some times though when the internet wins and it's fantastic. Like when the comment section is better than like the actual like content that went up.
Yeah,
and
sometimes it's just good to read the comments. Just read the comments and laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good appreciation for that. It's good for a good chuckle,
Yeah.
Especially on platforms like TikTok or like Instagram Reels. It always seems to be better with videos than it is just for, like regular photos. But
yeah. The different things that we actually see out there. But getting into it now, what has surprised you the most with being in the THC market now? Like, as far as, was it just the consumer response? Was it just the excitement of something new? Like you said, kind of really now even thought you knew the stuff in beverage. Now you find out more stuff that you have to ingrain that you didn't know before possibly. And just like, what's the big thing as far as like really surprised you the most, I guess?
Honestly, it's the breakneck regulatory stuff that really just like, I thought I knew the regulatory environment. I had no idea what I mean, and I knew that it was going to be challenging. But the speed at which things happen at the state level is just like, it's a lot. It's like getting hit by a truck on a daily basis. Like, and again, if you aren't like a formally trained legal counsel, it is very hard to understand. So, that was a big surprise. The other thing, I would say this is like less of a surprise, but I didn't realize how time consuming and how much like eggshell walking I was going to have to do with the marketing piece. I'm used to marketing, me, I'm used to marketing regulated goods, but that's alcohol. That's a little bit, that's federally legal. We're talking about like, you can buy alcohol anyway, you know what I mean? Like, state laws change a little bit, right? But it's not a like controlled substance. And verbiage matters quite a bit. I feel like a walking thesaurus sometimes when it comes to like, how do I explain this without getting banned? on the internet. Like how do I communicate to people exactly what it is and try to be transparent as best as I can with my marketing and without getting like shadow banned or kicked off a platform or penalized or now being in the regulated goods space, I'm used to like my page doesn't get recommended as often as others. It's because I have I have age restrictions. You know what I mean? Like there's
Oh yeah, for the
there's
Facebook page.
Yeah, well, it's also like Instagram and it's also TikTok and YouTube.
So Instagram and TikTok, you run into stuff with there too, or
yeah, I run into stuff all over the place.
Facebook's been big lately. I know.
Yeah, Google. If you want to do like Google advertising or like SEO or Google My Business, like those typical tools that you would use kind of to market or promote like a beer brand, a cider brand, spirits, whatever it is. With alcohol, it's already kind of restricted anyways, but with this, it's like on a whole new level. Like it is restricted, like really, really. So you have to get really creative with your marketing, bigger ad spend, bigger budgets. You have to have backups for backups for backups. I have burner accounts. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but those are like, if I lose everything, I can go to this one. There's a plan B, there's a plan C, there's a plan D. So that was something that I was used to having backup plans for if something went sideways with marketing. I was not used to having this many backup plans, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, yeah, because there's so much that's not known or that's changing. It definitely causes for more outcomes you have to prepare for that might be possible situations,
Yeah. And you have to learn to be very nimble, because these regulations are changing so quickly. It's like, you order like 20 pallets of cans that have like this, what I'm pointing to just random stuff, like a certain symbol on it that say is required for, and again, I'm just making this up, the state of Ohio, but then you turn around the next day and a different symbol is required for the state of Florida. So now you have 20 pallets of bright cans that you're sitting on that are totally non-compliant in a different state. So you have to figure out, like, how do I navigate this? How do I try to like predict the future of like, what should I put on my label? What needs to be on, like, verbiage, symbols, warnings?
Right.
Can I have cartoons? Can I have animals? Can I have fruit? Can I have a person? Can it have a drink on it? There's all these different things to navigate. So that's been very challenging. And I guess you could call that a surprise. I mean, I knew it was going to be a challenge, but it's very, very hard to navigate.
Well, I mean, even looking at the evening buzz, right? So I don't see personally anything, wrong with it. Obviously, I think it's great design, but you can see where some politicians somewhere might be like, oh, those colors are too bright. That's going to draw the eyes of kids, right? Like, you never know what somebody's going to throw out there from some back in the room, like it's that old Obama thing. Like, who is that? Who's that back there? Who's that talking? Like, someone throws something out there and it's just like, dude, like, nobody's going to even think that way. But then you put it out there, and now people start thinking that way or something. So it's like, you've always got to prepare for curveballs that might come your way in some direction.
And again, and again, that goes back to the please give us some guardrails to go off of, and we will comply with that. Like, if you don't want me to have bright colors, just tell me not to have bright colors, and we will do that, But because there's nobody in there, no one, whatever it is, group, organization, whatever, there's no like guiding principle yet to say like, no, you can't have pink. Or no, you can't have baby blue, or what, you can't have a cherry on the front of it. And until we get that, it's kind of like, what are we, we're sort of flying blind here. Sometimes people in the category will start to kind of like split hairs with like, well, alcohol does this and food does this, but and you can point fingers and stuff like that, whatever. I I prefer not to like get into that too much and like split
Mhm.
hairs across categories, but just to be able to say like, hey, do you want it to be a solid label with just the name? Not my favorite, not my top pick, right? Like I'd rather have pictures
Yeah.
on there. But if that's what's going to take to regulate the industry, sure. But
Yeah.
we'd have to have it outlined. So it wouldn't be as fun. I think our labels are fun. I don't
Yeah,
know.
labels are great. Is there any part of you that thinks like that I'm just throwing like sitting out there thinking like the people don't want to give you a regulation or a guideline because then it's like, okay, we'll do that. And then it's like, wait a second. Now we can't change anything if you're going to do exactly what we like. I feel like they don't want to give you what the options are to handle it because once you say, okay, we're in, then it's like they lose all wiggle room on their side. So it's kind of like maybe they're kind of like they don't want to put that option out there because they know you guys are going to do it. They know that, okay, the industry's on board. Yeah, we'll do it this way. We'll regulate it. We'll put them through this distribution point. We'll make label like this. We'll put this label on it. It's like, okay, well, now they got nothing to say about anything. Because I think it's, the whole thing before when they didn't legalize marijuana, a big sticking point was they didn't never want to legalize marijuana because if they did, people could grow it themselves. And they wouldn't know how to tax it. And so I feel like they're trying to keep some type of control out there, not realizing there's not really anything you have to try to control. It's a regulatory business now. We're making stuff just like you make beer or spirit. We just need to know how to actually do that. Nobody's going to sit at home trying to make a THC drink themselves. They're going to go out and buy it. I mean, I don't know, maybe years down the line, there might be THC home brewers like we do with beer, but most people are going to go out and get it at a location, just like they do with spirits. You could learn how to be a distiller yourself, but that's so much of a process. Most people don't want to deal with it. I feel like this is kind of under that, but I feel like in the back of some of these people's minds, maybe they're afraid to like open that door all the way up because they lose all their ground. Yeah. So it's just an interesting perspective.
There's something to be said. Although I think you could apply that to just I hate to give you like a neutral answer here, but I think there's always going to be people at the governance level that's kind of their take on it, whether it's healthcare or taxes or, I don't know, food stamps or whatever, what I mean, like foreign aid, whatever it is.
Right.
There's, that's kind of the beauty of a democracy. You know what I mean? You get like both sides of the coin. Right. You've got like hopefully a meeting of minds that like, hey, let's not do this. Yeah, we should do this. And then we go back and forth. And that's kind of the beauty of it. I think there's always going to be people that want to like chase something, regulate something, say you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't, like what you were talking about with like, they don't want to legalize marijuana or whatever. There's probably going to be people out there all the time. I'm smart enough not to name names.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to name industries or like other categories. You know what I mean? But there's also a lot of people though that see the other side of this, that say like, look at what we could do. Look at how the industry could flourish.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not to go all meta here, but like if you go back to prohibition, it was a risk making it legal again. You know what I mean? That was a risk. And then homebrewing didn't come around until later.
76, 78.
Yeah, we want to make
Like,
because we want to put the guardrails around it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's starting to go that way with marijuana. I mean, you look at like I'm in Colorado, right? I can grow my own.
Right.
Am I equipped to be making an infused beverage? No, that is very hard to do and requires a lot of expensive equipment and processes and things need to be tested and all that kind of stuff. But I would imagine, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the root of like homebrewing and moonshining and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you have to start somewhere, right? So But it does need guardrails to protect people, like the normal person out there. So I do know Colorado kind of prides itself on being like a model state of like how to get that done, how to tax it, how to put limitations and guardrails and stuff, and then still allow people, free use of things, whether it's marijuana. We also have, what's the fancy, my brain just like blanked on the fancy term, but like mushrooms, we're allowed to have mushrooms, what I mean? So, psychedelics and stuff like that. So I think it's evolving, and I do think it's nice to have places, whether it's Colorado or Washington State or wherever you want to use as like a model of like, there's going to have to be somebody that takes the risk and has the pros and cons and either the upside, downside. I know like here, I get a letter from my kid's school district before the beginning of the school year that says like, thanks to marijuana taxes in Colorado, all the kids are getting Chromebooks. And I'm like, sweet. So like that's
smoke up, Colorado.
Like one year we got a letter that said we're adding a full-time school psychologist. And I was like, well, hell yeah, like that's amazing, so I think there's models out there that we could use, which I think is great. It's just it's like everything else that's changing. Change is hard. It takes time. There's going to be fallouts. There's going to be ups and downs. It takes a long time to adapt and shift and evolve. I do feel maybe cautiously optimistic, but I do feel optimistic about going way back to the beginning of this episode. You asked me how I felt about the category. I do feel like there's a lot of really great like players in the space that are stepping up and saying, yes, like we will do this your way. We will follow the rules. Like just give us the playbook. And we have very little demands except for just regulate it and give some clear provisions and we'll comply to that, and a lot of those compliance pieces will weed out the bad actors because they don't want to go through that. They don't want to do all the testing. They don't want to do all the certifications. They don't want to do the age limits and stuff like that because it affects their cash flow. But I do see a lot of like positive influence from people in the category of us like coming together as a unit and all sort of voicing the same thing, which I think is a good thing for progress.
Yeah. I think that all comes together in a positive way to show, a combined group effort that you want to get this done the right way. And hopefully it falls on sane minds and open ears that can have a discussion and come up with a way
I hope
to
so.
kind of get this other stuff off the table. Like, even like the beer industry, it was like last year, they were calling for some regulation on it too. And the way it first came across, it was kind of like pot calling the kettle black. But in the end, it's kind of like people do want to have it regulated. I don't know if it was as good for the industry when they went kind of talking about it. I remember reading on like LinkedIn and some other spots about them kind of coming out, kind of just spokes like we need to have that regulated, just like we're regulated type thing. The way it kind of came out was like more of a sour apples type play, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I don't know if they should have been one to kind of do that. They should have had maybe somebody from the THC industry with them kind of doing it together or something, or let them, because it just kind of, it looked bad at first, but in the end, everybody kind of wants the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think the reason why a lot of people in the category will say things like, well, just chunk us in with alcohol or chunk us into the FDA and treat it like food. It's because those systems have been around for like a long time. So that's like an existing structure that you can kind of just fold into. It's really hard to start from zero and like reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? So like, okay, let's just look to a system that's already kind of set up, but maybe just tweak it a little bit for a new category or a new innovation. And not that we're happy with it, not that the FDA is perfect and not that TTB is perfect, by any means,
Right.
but it's an existing structure that would be a little bit of a easier transition for a lot of us
Right.
to kind of assimilate into, regardless of where it goes.
Right. And also with it being newer, as I think about, you look at it versus beer. Um, Beer's had numerous years of testing behind it, right? So they know that a beer coming out at a 5% ABV for most people is going to be at a set level, right? Or a 4.5 or a 4 to doing like a Bud or something. Like they already have those kind of guidelines to kind of know. And then it's like, okay, anything above 8% needs to go over here. Or some states say nothing above 12, like Georgia used to be. I think Georgia still might be like nothing more than 12% or so, right? Mm-hmm. So there's different ways, but with THC drinks, they're like, well, I don't know if the 2 is as bad as the 5, or if the 5 is the 25, or should it be something that the 50 right. doesn't need to be or not. So there's like just a wide range of the different levels. So I think that's part of it too, kind of what is the average consumer? What's the okay level? Is it just 5 or below? And then maybe you have that type scenario, and then you start getting kind of how we do the imperial stuff with beers, like Utopias can't be sold in like 13 states, right, at 30% ABV. So you got to kind of figure out how to do that with THC possibly as well.
Yeah, and it's a good question to ask. Do I have the answer? Absolutely not. But if you think about it this way, you're never going to get to that answer if you totally ban it.
Exactly.
Then it's just gone, right? Then there's no room for studies and sample groups and investigate, whatever it is, like scientific research and like further testing and coming up with different forms of guardrails and regulations. Because again, it's a good example, like prohibition, then you just knock it out, right? And then you can't do anything with it. You can't come up with like safe serve. You can't come up with like a tips program. You can't, you know what I mean? There's like those programs evolved because the substance was still in the market. If you take it away completely, then it just halts progress altogether, which is sad.
Yeah.
So,
and even when prohibition, it never really got rid of it. It just drove it underground. And then you had other unsafe measures that came out. People were making the bathtub gin and stuff like that. Or you had, the mob running stuff up through Canada, with Capone and all of them. And so it's never really went away. It just gets pushed underground. And it's like, like you mentioned earlier about moonshine and stuff being run. So it's
dangerous, and that's definitely not, there's something to be said about like controlled substances and the things that need to be heavily, heavily regulated. And I think, we've come a long way from like reefer madness, like all it, like that movie and all that. There's been quite a bit of research.
I don't even know if any other generation outside of ours knows that movie anymore. But
I know, right? Everybody's gonna have to go look it up now. But the mindset is a little bit different. You look at like that, and then something like like Dare. Like the Dare, do you remember the Dare program of like the 80s and like
our school got mad at us because we were laughing at the Dare police when they came in doing their presentation. Like nobody's gonna buy into that, But
there's, you can kind of, if you were to look at like the timeline of like alcohol and drugs and firearms, anything that's like restricted, and there's a timeline, and things move. Tobacco's the same way. Like if you had asked me 20 years ago about like a Juul like vape, I would be like, what the hell are you talking about? So there's things that are going to come into play all the time, and we just have to be able to adjust as we go. Again, if it's totally not allowed, then that process never happens, unfortunately. So,
right. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the old stuff there because, we've seen a lot of Gen X, but we were talking on the previous broadcast on the live streams. We actually,
by the way, I'm just going to throw that.
we were talking about the cigarette vending machines.
Oh
Like
yeah.
generations nowadays that have no idea. Like cigarettes used to be the vending machine. You didn't have to go to a counter or a store. You just had the right change. You went in and you
The
put
little
it in,
pull
you
knob thing.
pulled out, and the cigarettes would come out to you. Like kids will use those all to go to the laundromat, get some cigarettes. You just go in there, put the money in, take it out. Nobody stopped anybody. So
Have you seen
like,
the repurposed one? Now people are putting like cute little like tchotchkes and stuff in there. So sometimes you'll see,
no.
I see these a lot in, places like Portland or Austin or like,
Yeah.
a little bit
A little
more,
more arts type
a
stuff.
little bit
Yeah.
more arts influence. But there's folks that are taking those old cigarette machines and turning them into, I don't know, it'll be like a pair of socks from a local artisan or like a miniature chessboard or something, but it works the same way. Like you put your money in and you pull the knob and you get the thing, usually in a box that comes out, but they've like painted the machine and it's totally different. But it's kind of cool. I think it's neat
Yeah.
that they're like, taking something that's probably just like sitting in the corner of a
Right.
dump somewhere and like repurposing it for good, which is great. But it's funny to see those like out in the wild.
Yeah. But back then, our parents could send us to the store to buy their cigarettes for them too. And you walk in there and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, you're so-and-so's kid. Here you go. Tell her I said hello." All right.
And see how much better we've gotten at age gating things. We're way better than we used to be. This is ripe for category entry.
Right.
Way better.
Oh, Julie, you were awesome as always. I don't want to keep you. I mean, I could go on and on, but I had a list of questions here, and it's like I got maybe 2 or 3. We always have a good time, so we always have a great conversation.
I remember that. Like it's always fun to go. Yeah.
But we'll definitely have to get you back on for more. Now you got a lot of stuff happening. I know. I didn't even realize next week was the Ohio conference. I've been so busy on stuff, but you'll be speaking at the Ohio conference. Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be there this year. I just got an email from somebody asking me too if I was going to be coming in. But
man. It's I'll be in
Dayton. I know. It's closer now than it was when I went to Columbus last year, but it's just so much stuff happening. I just hadn't talked to those guys up there, Mary and her team, in a bit. So I was like, I did not realize it was next week when somebody had asked me about it. So fortunately,
she's a busy bee this week. She's doing the Ohio Craft Beer Awards. She's doing
they're like
judging and everything this week, I think.
They're like 10 minutes from me over at Mantry.
Nice.
And I didn't get a chance to get over there tonight. I think they might be there tomorrow, so maybe I can try to swing through tomorrow and see who might be there. But they're doing all the judging over there for the first ever Ohio competition for best beer of Ohio, which should be pretty exciting. I saw some pictures and stuff online, and they got a lot of good judges and stuff taking place. And
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm speaking twice. Again, like shameless self-plug, but it's like I'm the keynote for the conference.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And then the second day I'm doing a talk on social media marketing. So I kind of transition from keynote, and I have a lot of beer friends in Ohio, so I'm very excited to get up there. Your weather better be nice to me when I get up there.
Well, you know what? I think I think by midweek next week, actually, we might be okay. You're coming in on Sunday, probably, or Monday.
Yeah,
so Sunday. So Sunday, I think it's supposed to be possibly Saturday, snow flurry or Sunday. Not really sure, but nothing heavy. But I think the weather starts to break, because I think by like towards the second, like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we're like in the mid 40s or something, possibly, which is great for where we're at here compared to what it usually is. Like I said, today right now it's 18 degrees. So you don't want to be here for that. And there was a wind chill. It's probably even lower at this point, but
it's all right.
Yeah.
I tell people, so, I didn't talk about myself like personally too much. I grew up in Texas, so most people think like I can't handle the cold. I hated the heat so much. I don't know how that got into my bones. But as soon as I finished college, I moved to Chicago, and I got initiated like hardcore into Midwest cold. And so by the time, roundabout that I made it to Colorado, I'm like perfectly trained for like wind and cold, all the things. So I'm good. I know to layer up. I know to when I'm going to be transitioning spaces and stuff like that. But no, it should be a good time. I've got a couple more things. I'm speaking at CBC this year. I'm really excited about that in Philly.
Yeah.
So I
That'll be awesome.
really get to see you there. That should be awesome. And a few other things. I'm going to be in New York State for their conference in March, and all of that is kind of with my consultant hat on. And in February, I go to the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers Association trade show, and that's with my supplier hat on. So there's another surprise for you. I have to switch lanes like multiple times a day. It's not the easiest thing to do. I'm not going to lie, but it's cool when you're working on something that's your own. You know how that goes. Like when you're building it, and it means a lot to you. You kind of, I don't want to say push through, but it means something.
When it means something to you, it doesn't feel like you're working. It's just like you're just out there, energized and doing it and stuff. So, which is always a great thing. But like I said, you always have some stuff happening. You're always on the go. You're always here, there, and everywhere. So,
yeah, I sleep sometimes. Just no, I covet my sleep. I now have teenagers, which means I'm out of baby phase. They sleep on their own. I sleep like a log, man. I'm a sleep advocate.
Yeah, and now they can make their own breakfast, not coming and asking you.
We're also super fun to travel with now. Yeah, it's awesome. Like we're, also, they're beer kids. It's like sensory. They're into food. They're into like tasting stuff. We let them, sample things. We talk about flavor profiles. It's pretty fun, honestly.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty soon they'll be designated drivers for you too. Let's just say that's the bonus point there. I've had friends when their kids at that age, hey, you can come pick me up from the bar now.
Yeah. If I go out at all, that's another thing. No, that's what comes with getting on. I'm like, I'm not going to stay, I'm going to call it a night at like 9.
Right. I got to be home in time for, whatever show, because get there and relax and go to sleep. So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you for having me on again. I really appreciate it. And it's cool to kind of have like this dichotomy, whereas before I was speaking to you as like strictly consultant, talking about marketing and all that kind of stuff. And now to come back and I got my supplier hat on, my brand hat on.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to talk and see all the great stuff you're doing. And then this will be up on the channel. So when you're talking to people and you're mentioning Kick Fizz next week, tell them they can check out the video and how we covered the stuff here too. So
I will. Spread the word.
Yeah. And again, for those of you, if you haven't got a chance and you are interested in finding out more, go to the website, which is the kickfizz.com. Inside scoop, if you missed it earlier, 30% off on your first order. So at least when that's popping up.
We have a fun little email community. Like, it's fun because I'm the one that writes all of them and you're using my emails. I try to make it fun. Again, we send out like playlists. We have mocktail recipes. We give people alerts about like where we're going to be, the events coming up, things going on. If you do want to get involved and like speak up and say like, please don't ban these things, we give out information of like how to find your local lawmakers and like talk to them, like what to send to them and things of that sort. Yeah. And if you use the contact form, it goes straight to me.
Well, there you go.
I'm the hub. So feel free to, do the info or use the contact information form because it all goes to one place and that's Julie's office. Yeah.
There you go. But we'll go ahead and wrap up here. If you hang out for a second, we'll chat afterwards for a quick bit. And then thanks for everybody that tuned in tonight. Saturday night, I'm back here with Dave, Beer in Front. We'll be doing the Midwest Beer Show. So we'll be highlighting some different things for the beer news for that. But as always, love you guys spending some time here, whether you're watching here on YouTube, whether you're watching live, watching a replay, listening back on the podcast, wherever you're actually supporting the channel, the live streams, the shows. Really appreciate you. That being said, I look forward to catching up with you guys all on the next one. Y'all have a great evening and cheers.